Moving to item number 15, discussion of possible action regarding the Commission's out-of-competition drug testing program. We've all, within the last year and a half, this Commission has made a huge effort to increase its drug testing program. And with that, we've had some issues to address as a Commission and to discuss. We are steadfast in moving forward with that drug testing program and continue to improve. And as we come across these issues, we'll continue to discuss them, debate them, and decide on a direction this Commission wants to move forward. As we all know, this Commission has decided to adhere to the WADA code in some parts, and of that is the banned substance list. With that, in our program, we recently ran into an issue with a fighter. We are all aware of that fighter in the situation. And in those drug tests, we have opportunities to gather information as a Commission as we see fit. The information we did receive was not necessarily the information we always received, but since we had it, I believe we have to address it and decide where we want to go as the next step. And with that, I just kind of open it up to the floor for a discussion by this Commission to determine where it is we want to go, knowing the issues and the information we can gather. That's just kind of the platform. I'm not saying that's the discussion, the direction the discussion needs to go, but I just wanted us to have the opportunity to kind of discuss this and have a policy discussion as to where we want to go moving forward, knowing we can know what we know. Any comments from commissioners, questions, thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, certainly this Commissioner Alcino, I commend you for this effort. I think that it was a new opportunity for me to more fully understand and review one of WADA's activities we actually have adopted over the many years. And this is an area that sort of falls through the cracks. And I think it's an area that this Commission should carefully review and have good deliberative discussion about.
I guess what I'm a little confused now is that what is it that we're discussing? What's on the table? What is being proposed? I'm a little confused with that.
Well, I think the issue, let me just maybe set the stage for what the issue is. The issue is we have a positive test for a substance that's not necessarily banned out of competition. However, if the substance was consumed during competition, we would have the right as a Commission to address it in a disciplinary action process. Given that this substance was consumed out of competition, it's not listed as a banned substance on the WADA list. And I guess in my head, I'm thinking, and I could be completely off base here, and this is just me kind of speaking my mind, is had that substance been found in competition, we would have had a full discussion as a Commission as to what the next steps were and the appropriate action that needed to be taken. Given that we didn't have any authority to address it, from what I understand based on research of the Attorney General, I would have liked to have that conversation as a full Commission as to what the direction that we could go and how we can move forward with the disciplinary action. And with that in mind, I thought, well, do we need to discuss the definition of in competition versus out of competition? And if that's not the discussion we want and nobody else wants to have, I understand and I will stand here and be alone, but I think maybe we need to have that discussion versus in competition versus out of competition. Is the in competition definition by WADA appropriate for us, and do we want to move forward with that definition, or do we want to deviate from it in some way and kind of develop our own definition? So that's.
Well, historically, this is how we have looked at the issue. In 2007, we did a full evaluation as to whether or not that we wish to adopt the entire WADA code. And we had a hearing on that issue, and we decided that we were not going to adopt the entire WADA code. What we decided to do instead was to adopt WADA's prohibited list and the definitions contained within WADA's prohibited list as to guiding this Commission. We memorialized those into a regulation, and that regulation is currently, is what is adhered to. I would note that that decision, in my opinion, comported with the jurisdiction of this commission. And that's one of the things that I look at, because if we're looking at trying to change the definition of what is in competition versus out of competition, something different than WADA's code, then there are two issues that I have, and that being this. Do we have jurisdiction to make that expansion? And the way I look at it, our statute, which is found in 467.070, we don't. Number two is that if in fact that we were to make that change, what finding are we using to indicate that somehow that a lifestyle choice or a lifestyle drug or a recreational drug that is not prohibited out of competition would impact then the items for which that we do have jurisdiction in. And I don't think we have any medical information, no medical findings, no nothing along that line. And therefore, any such change then, someone could argue, could be arbitrary. And the last thing I want to do on a very important issue like this is to give anyone some type of a legal argument for which that we are unprepared presently to deal with. This is an issue I think that warrants
Commissioner Mumble, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I have a fondness for at least looking into this subject. I can't certainly discuss with any intelligence with you the definition of jurisdiction, of course, and I would defer to your reading of that. But could we have someone give us some guidance on this? And because I thought there was at least an opportunity to consider our own definition of in-competition, since you stated that we did not, if I heard you correctly, did not adopt the entire WADA code. I do remember clearly that we adopted the list of prohibited substances, but I thought we reserved for our own action by regulation other aspects of this. And that's not arbitrary. I mean, it seems to me we could have some testimony given to us and other experts to allow us to go into deliberation and discuss it fully. Or am I off base?
Well, this is going to be, as far as, I think where I hear you going, Commissioner Avancino, is that this is an issue that may warrant some further study. And it may need to have some legal guidance from someone other than myself for us to look to the Attorney General and to answer those types of issues. To the extent that the chairman wishes to appoint some type of a committee or a group by which to study this, I would be more than happy to do that, because this has been an area of interest for me since when I first was appointed to the commission. And it was through nearly a 6-month effort that I took in trying to have an understanding of the WADA code and making a recommendation to this commission as to whether or not that we wanted to adopt the entirety of the code. So from a historical perspective, I think I have the background by which to do that, and I definitely have the interest by which to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was exactly my point, is I wanted to have this discussion, have some clarity on what our history has been as a commission, and then figure out what it is that we can do or not do moving forward. I just wanted us to have this conversation, understand what the issues are, and then address the issues, and whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. But your idea of creating a committee to study this and look at this and have some expert testimony from those individuals who understand this far more than I do, I think would be welcome.
Well, I commend you for that effort, Mr. Chairman. I know that Commissioners Rundle and Brady, and I think you may have been on the commission as well. I don't believe that Marnell was here yet. But, we spent a lot of time on this subject, and I think it's something that we have to get good insight on from others in the industry and physicians and other experts. But I certainly think it's worthy of review.
Thank you. And that's where I wanted to get. I didn't want to force us to have to make a decision today, but start the conversation and get a direction as to where the commission wanted to go, so we can get to a point to make an actual decision if that's what we choose to do. Commissioner Brady, do you have any comments?
Well, I do. First off, I like Frank, some things that I hear sometimes from the media. I think the commission under your leadership and others have done an excellent job in enforcing the prohibited substance. I think today on our agenda we have approximately 6 more since our last meeting, 6 on our agenda to deal with today. So I think the commissioner in the state of Nevada has done an excellent job with their drug enforcement, the testing. I know it's really been stepped up, and I would put up second to no one. That's my opinion and what I've seen. Now, having said that, I think that we might be ready to take it to a next level on what you're discussing. Maybe Commissioner Lundvall, I know he did study and get into that in great depth. Depending on what the wish of the commission, the chairman is, to take this to the next level on this area of water that we're contemplating might be a good idea before we actually make hard and fast rule to let us sort of get to the bottom of this and make sure we get it right.
Thank you,
But
sir.
I do want to just say I think you've done an excellent job, and I think our record shows that.
I agree. Commissioner Marnell?
Yeah, Commissioner Lundell, I have a quick question for you on the jurisdictional issue. If we've been able to define banned substances and a lot of that we are going to use, and we clearly have defined in competition and out of competition, because it was very subject to the top, we couldn't move on this because it was a banned substance on the rest that only in competition, not out of competition. Where does the jurisdiction issue really lie if we just wanted to move a substance on WADA's list from in jurisdictional ban to also make it in competition ban, to now moving it into the out of competition ban? I mean, we've already been able to do that. We've been able to pick which ones we want to define, when we want to define them, when we can and cannot act on them. So why are we not going to move it?
Let me, as far as,
Or redefine what one of them means?
let me play devil's advocate and recognize that this is not my personal opinion, okay? What I'm trying to do is to work within the confines of what I understand our statute to be. Our statute identifies our jurisdiction as being over all contests or exhibitions of unarmed combat, right? It's not over sports, it's not over athletes, it's not over licensees, it's over contests or exhibitions of unarmed combat. WADA, with its broad scope of and broad array of medical personnel available to it, says that there are certain substances that an athlete may take out of competition that are presumed to give them an unfair advantage in an exhibition or contest. And those are your typical, your anabolic steroids, those types of things. And it's presumed that the athlete brings those to the competition, and therefore that's why we compete. There are other substances, and let's use the one that's at issue, cocaine, that is a stimulant, that has a short-term limitation as far as on the body, that medical personnel will tell you that that athlete who used it out of competition, as defined by WADA, does not bring any unfair advantage to the competition, to the contest, to the exhibition over which we have jurisdiction.
But the question right there, that's not the apologize for interrupting, but does it bring him an unfair advantage and threaten his health and safety in the competition? I would argue with that.
Well, in the event that we had jurisdiction over the health and safety of athletes generally, I would agree with you.
But in the competition, we do, correct? That's our job.
Well, in the competition, we do. And I'm, like I said, what I'm trying to do is to be the devil's advocate.
I got it.
And so what I don't want to do is to give someone an opportunity by which then to challenge us as we go in the future. And that's why I think that looking at this, investigating it, and properly either wordsmithing this or legalizing this in some fashion or another, it can give us the type of protection that we need.
Okay.
And the point of moving forward is to address those issues and move forward methodically rather than react, and strategically rather than being reactive.
I totally agree with that, Mr. Chairman. I think everybody's already said it all. I completely understand what Commissioner Lundahl saying that from a legal perspective. I think it's something that we should pursue, address in more detail and rigor, and talk to the community, get as much information as we can. Because I think some of these substances that can enhance performance can also put fighters at risk. And that's always been my biggest concern, is fighters at risk. So I'm happy to go about this over the commission would like. It sounds like everybody's on board and pursuing additional information.
We held a hearing, invited a number of different members from the performance enhancing drug, evaluation community, an extensive hearing back in 2010. It's now been 5 years. Maybe it's time for us to go to another one of those hearings so that we can get further educated on new practices, new techniques, new issues that are arising, and figure out what additional rules and regulations that we may also consider in addition to this.
I would suggest to you that this one, the piece that I have taken on a couple of weeks back, I've done a lot of work on that. I'm not ready to report back, but it seems like this is all going to potentially go into a new policy. I think it would be much broader policy. I would suggest that we're doing a piece of a part that we would, I can report my information, I can report what I found, and we can address this when it comes to a lot of testing and all this, so include the penalty for these positions that I was really dealing with.
So the sense I'm getting from the commission is, and Commissioner Lundahl, and I would look to her and her leadership to help move this forward if she's willing to help me with this, is one, we want to understand where we are with the WADA code, what our jurisdictional abilities are, discuss where we want to deviate from that code if we want to deviate from it, and also look at it, do we need to update our policies, do we need to update our thinking as commissioners when it comes to drug testing, and then finally the penalty phase. Is it what we're doing in our process accomplishing what we're intending to accomplish for unarmed combat? So with that, I think we would like to move forward with the committee. We'll develop the contents of that committee over the next time, and hopefully by the next meeting we can come forward with a plan, a time frame, and a composition of that group. Are there any thoughts, comments, additional issues that I'm missing, Commissioner Lundahl? Is that?
No, the one thing that I want to think about before our next meeting is whether or not that to follow the footsteps of Commissioner Almacino, is whether or not that we want to appoint some type of a study committee outside of the members of this commission.
No, that's what I was saying.
So, just some thought.
Okay. All right. Any other comments by commissioners? If not, I appreciate you continuing to listen to me and discussing these issues, and we'll continue to move forward. So thank you. Now moving on to item number 16.